YouTube channel. It is me, Cel, and today we're going to be dealing with back bends, specifically for you beginners. We're going to be dealing with joints like the wrist, because you know what? We think back bends are all about the back, but often when I'm teaching beginners, as soon as I take wrists out of the equation, their back bends are beautiful, and mostly what they were struggling with was the range in their wrists. The second thing a lot of people struggle with is actually shoulders. If your shoulders are very stiff, to come into a back bend is very, very difficult, and so we're going to be covering shoulders. Third thing we'll cover is the spine and exactly how to help your spine get into extension more easily. And the fourth thing is going to be dealing with all of those variables all at one time. So let's begin first of all with wrists. I'm going to actually imagine this is a wall over here. And to do this next part, you will need 2 blocks. And I recommend the cork blocks just because they're a little bit firmer and stronger. So the wrists actually have a lot of work to do when they're in a back bend because they have to bend pretty much in a very unnatural way. By the way, don't do this against a chair at home. Please use a proper wall. It's just a bit awkward here to shoot against a wall, which is why I'm improvising. Wrists struggle in back bends because they are going into a very extreme form of extension, which perhaps the muscle length and the connective tissue along your forearm all the way into your palm can't accommodate. So one of the things you can do to kind of shortcut it is put 2 blocks either side of your head, and then what you do is you don't even have to put your palm flat. You can just put the knuckles of the palm onto your blocks, and then as you start to push into back bend, it just makes it a lot more easy for your wrists not to have to go into full extension. As you get more flexible, you start to maybe put a little bit more of your fingers across onto the blocks like this. So I would start with maybe just my fingertips on the block like this, and then as I push, my whole palm goes like a wave onto the blocks, which makes it a lot more easily. Now, the second thing that we're going to learn about are shoulders. Shoulders are in this position actually moving into flexion, but it feels like extension because your back is going into extension. So if your shoulders are very tight and you find shoulders are really your limiting factor when you're going into back bends, you can incorporate into your routine a little stretch for just your shoulders. So I'm going to use my little poof again, and all it is you're going to put your elbows on any surface, hands are together in prayer, and as you shuffle your body backwards, you're bringing your armpits towards the ground. And as you can see, if I was in a back bend, this is pretty much the position that my arms would be going into. And I like to actually change the position of my arms when I'm doing the stretch because you're going to be targeting different lines of connective tissue as you move down. And by that I just mean like how the body interacts with each joint will change even if you move one tiny part in your extremities. So for example, I could start with palms flat and move my chest down. I can do the same thing, palms up. I can have my hands together in a prayer position. I can turn my palms to face backwards, and I can turn my palms to face forwards. And I can also, as I'm moving back, bring my chest much, much more closely to the ground. And I can also work on keeping my ribs tucked in and then just working the shoulders as opposed to the whole movement of ribs and shoulders together. So there's a lot of different things you can explore when you're doing this with a flat platform. And when you come into your back bends, you're going to have then open through all the connective tissue, and you're going to find it's going to be a little bit easier to pop up into your back bend. Now, the third thing that I want to show you is, let's say you know for a fact your spine is really your thing that you struggle with the most. That's where I recommend maybe go to the gym and jump on one of these balls, or if you can, I just got mine on Amazon. And what I get my students to do is to lie back on it. And this is especially if you're brand new to yoga, you've never done a back bend before, you actually will quite like me when I put you on this because it's lovely and relaxing. You just get your whole body to sink over the ball. And then if you find, oh hang on, this is actually, it feels great on my spine, but I feel that my wrists or my shoulders are the limiting factor, then I can even involve my wrists and my shoulders and pretend I'm coming into a back bend. So I push into my palms and I just use the ball as a measure of support for me as I'm moving into this position. Yet, obviously, for those of you who have very stiff spines, the bigger the ball, the less intense it's going to be. But as you become more flexible, you can even start to use things like blocks to help your spine. Then go away, ball. So I'm going to put my blocks like so. And then you can literally target various different parts of your body. So you can use your lower back, you can move it all the way higher into your upper back. And it's really worth going through all the levels because most people have got really good extension in their lower back, but it's the upper back that, especially me, I struggle with the most. And so I get my blocks into my upper back quite regularly to help me with that range. Now, putting all of that together, I want to talk a little bit about how you move into a back bend and the time you spend when you're in a back bend. And the little bit of information I want to share with you is about the discs that are positioned in between all of the bones of your back. These are spongy tissues. Now, your disc, as you go into a back bend, will change shape. It'll become fatter on one end and thinner on the other. Now, if you're going into a back bend and you're holding it for 3 seconds and you come down and you squeeze your knees into your chest, and you give yourself a big old cuddle because it felt nice after you did a back bend, great. Then you go into your back bend again, and then you go into hugging your knees into your chest, back bend, hugging your knees into your chest. Awesome. The only issue is because you're making your disc change shape at such a varying degree, your back doesn't actually have the chance to mold into the shape of the back bend over time. So look at it like this. If you're going to go into a back bend and you want to create that shape over time, go into a very deep back bend, and then instead of bringing your knees into your chest, put just your shoulders down and keep your butt off the ground. So the change is maybe this much. Then again, squeeze into your back bend. When you're done, put your shoulders on the ground but keep your butt off the ground. It's only a small change. And then every time you go into your back bend, you'll find you're changing the shape of the discs in a much more progressive, calm, strategic way. And then in addition to the discs changing shape, all the other tissues that are involved in keeping your spine in a certain shape are also going to start to change. When you do back bends, don't come in and out of it too rapidly. And even for your shoulders and your wrists, it's kind of nice to give them chance to not just go into one back bend randomly on a Tuesday morning and then not go again until a month later and wonder why your back isn't going into beautiful back bends, but rather create some kind of consistency in your training. Maybe 3 times a week, dedicate 5 minutes to working into your spine. And every time you come down from your back bend, stay in a glute bridge. So what does all of that look like in real life? Let me show you. I'll lie down. So if I'm going to pop up into my back bend, I've just done this amazing back bend, Instead of going all the way down, I will hold it here. Finally, remember that actually this type of progressive back bend is much, much safer because when you're taking the disc into when you're taking the disc into such extreme disc change shapes, actually you really do stand the chance of herniating your discs. So you want to stay kind of more slowly, progressively coming into each of your back bends. If you've done a great big back bend for 5 minutes, don't suddenly hug your knees into your chest very rapidly because that sheer change in your disc means all the fluid rushes to the other side and that's when a prolapse can happen. What you want to do is you want to go into your back bend and then when you come down and you've finished, you want to give yourself chance in neutral. It takes about 10 or 15 seconds for the disc to go back to its neutral shape, and then you want to do twists because again it's a very neutral spine with rotation, which is much healthier for your discs. As always, thank you for being here with me and for watching this video. I massively appreciate you guys. If you want to practice full-length classes with some nice juicy flows, the link that's on the screen right now, if you click it, it'll take you through to those. And then if you enjoyed this video, it taught you something new, give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment because I love hearing from you, and enjoy your practicing of your back bends and just like write to me and let me know how it's going. I'm dying to know if any of these tips helped you. See you soon, my cuties. Bye.